Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of our non-binary friends, welcome back. We are so excited, kicking it off right here, right in front of your ears, Season 2 of Two Guys, Same Person. Season, new intro music, new outlooks. How's it going, bud? It's going, dude. We have been busy here, fighting through technical issues, fighting through writer's block issues, just issues upon issues. We're like a bunch of knockoff comic book writers after Superman came out. Did that happen? Was there a bunch of crappy stuff that came out after Superman? I don't know, and I would appreciate it if you didn't call me out like that. Absolutely. All right. So today's topic is called Making a Bug a Feature. Yep. Let's tell them what it's all about. Okay. So we have a friend who is really deep into programming. It's his whole life, all about computers. And we ask them questions all the time when we're having problems with our setup or if we've just got some questions about computing in general. And one of the first things he kind of told us about was how sometimes programmers will make a bug a feature, make something that was a mistake starting off into something that actually enhances or becomes part of the project. Yeah. One of the famous examples for our gamer friends out there, Minecraft, the creeper, the exploding tall green thing. The person was actually trying to make a pig, and they had messed up the dimensions, and you got that character, and they go, oh, that's weird. Yeah, let's run with that. Yeah. Another one, again, for our gamers, Laura Croft. She's known to have a very busy upper section. Boobs. And yes, boobs. And they were so big because of a programming error in the dimensions of her chest area, and they just ran with it. They said, oh, that's cool, I guess, because they were dudes or whatever. So we want to talk about applying this to our life, applying this to whatever you've got going on, because it doesn't just have to be about computers. Right. I believe it's just a lesson or exercise in being resourceful, in seeing something that is in front of you that you might not have planned for, or a monkey wrench in the gears of your plans, and rolling with it rather than scrapping a project or an idea. For example, this podcast started off with an idea of me wanting to do a podcast and talk to people and, kind of do the normal podcast thing. But one of the bugs was I didn't have anybody to talk to. Everybody else was busy. I don't have major industry connections, and I like doing things by myself, so I made that a feature here. Yeah. And I made this podcast out of a bug, essentially. And it's the making a bug a feature sentence itself is something that we'd heard before. We didn't really understand it, didn't pay much attention to it because we weren't in the computing and programming world. But while you're sitting here talking, I was looking up the history of the phrase, and according to a article on Wired by Nicholas Carr with 2 R's back in 2018. The article is called "It's Not a Bug, It's a Feature, Trite or Just Right." He opens up by saying, we'll never know who said it first. Skip down a little bit. It looks like a celebrated lexicon of hacker speak compiled at Stanford in 1975 glossed at the adage. So this idea of taking a mistake and making it a part of said project or whatever it is you've got going on, it isn't new. Yeah. I would even say, as mentioned earlier, it's just being resourceful. It's saying, I didn't mean to cut down that tree and then have it knock over the other tree, but now I've got 2 trees and I'm going to make that work for myself. Right. So when it comes to other people, non-programmers, what does making a bug a feature look like, and what can it do? Well, you simply need to just kind of walk yourself through a couple of examples. We'll start with somebody who's painting. Okay. Let's say they're starting with a blank canvas. You got to start somewhere. So you're going to, let's say you're doing a landscape. You begin doing your sky because you're going to build the landscape in front of it to give it kind of a more 3D, 3-dimensional effect there. But let's say as you're putting some white on a mountaintop, a bit of it drips onto the canvas. And you can say, well, it's ruined. I just did that stupid drip there in the sky. Or you can roll with it, and maybe that's a star. Maybe that's the first of a bunch of stars. If it's daytime, maybe you can put something up there in the sky and take your, standard kind of Bob Ross looking landscape. And now there's a spaceship there, and it's something new and it's exciting. And you take Bob Ross and then you put something crazy on top of it, and now you've got something brand new, all from a mistake or a bug, something unplanned that happened to your project.
Right.
I'll use us as an example here.
Okay.
This is season 2. It's kind of coming out of nowhere. One of the reasons we did it is because one of our creative bugs is we start a project, we get really deep into it, and then either the brain is just like, okay, that project's done, even though you might not say it's done. You come to some sort of roadblock. When I'm writing music, I'll come up with a really cool idea. A lot of people like it. I'm digging it. I'm writing it. I'll do a day or two of work on it. I'll come back a week later, and I'm like, I don't want to work on this, so I'll start something new. So that's kind of one of my bugs as a creative person. And I'm making that a feature in this podcast. I was kind of at a roadblock. I had some, computer issues going on. I was feeling out of my element, so I was like, fine, I'm going to make my bug a feature, and I'm going to start fresh. Even though it's continuing, this podcast and the channel and my idea, I stopped and started. I stopped season 1, figured out what was going on, started season 2. It feels like a new project to me, even though it's, the same thing.
Yeah.
You really got to roll with punches as they come, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what the saying is touching on. I know that making a bug a feature comes from the computer world. You've got a computer bug, and it's not really working in the program, but then it creates something new. But rolling with the punches is something that I think is essential in life, and it's the reason that people become successful.
Yes.
Of course, there are some examples of somebody coming up with a plan, executing that plan, everything works out perfectly, the end. Fireworks, Disney logo. That's amazing. But in normal life, most of life, things happen that are out of your control that might knock you off of a plan, a trajectory, anything that might delay even your project. And being able to use that as sort of a surprise element in your plan can really help. We've brought him up before. Dave Grohl, lead singer for the Foo Fighters, drummer for Nirvana, and countless other projects that he's been in, side gigs and stuff before he was famous. When he was in Nirvana, Kurt Cobain famously ended his life. Nirvana was done. He's talked about sitting there and not wanting to do music anymore and having to process through that. So there's a bug. Here's a famous musician that had everything going for him, and all of a sudden it stops for reasons out of his control. So he could have given up. He could have gone and done whatever, but then he goes, well, I've got some stuff that I can work with this, and I'm going to start my own band with my own music. He made this kind of this terrible disaster that I can guarantee he wishes he never had to go through. But he made it a feature, and now he is, well, they just kind of, I think they had a positive COVID scare, but they are back on tour for their 26th anniversary. They've sold out Wimbledon. They've sold out
tennis.
Is it Wimbledon? No, Wimbledon. Yeah. Wembley Stadium. They've just Venus and Serena Williams really love the Foo Fighters. Let me tell you, they've sold at Madison Square Garden, tons of other venues. I know that they either just came or were about to. Here in Chicago, go to Wrigley. I know that's going to be sold out, even though tickets are like $5 million just to look at how much tickets are. Yeah, maybe we'll go down there and we'll stand outside the stadium and listen to them rock out.
Hell yeah.
That'd be awesome. Okay, so tying it to our listeners, people at home, people who have projects and might be struggling with something not going right. I think every time, it doesn't mean you have to make the bug a feature.
Right.
It doesn't always mean it's going to be something that works out for you.
Yeah.
But I would say look at these bugs or these mistakes or these things out of your control as almost a second opinion.
Okay.
And what if this happened right here? And it's something that you didn't think about. I think that's why duos and artists working together really create some of the best work out there. Yes, you've always got some great solo performers, but even Elton John had a lyricist, and they came up with the songs together and made them even better. So having that second opinion challenge you, whether it's going to teach you how to get rid of that bug, whether it's going to give you a fresh idea to roll with, or even suggest a potential thing that you could do. Hey, you could actually do this instead, even though you didn't mean to. It can actually take you in this direction. You can go, I don't really want to do that. Let's get rid of that bug and continue on our path. Or, hey, let me actually take that bug and make a variation out of it. And we'll put it in here. You gotta be ready. You gotta be willing to be open to life, kind of giving you a little advice, even if it's unwanted. I would even take it a step further. It doesn't even necessarily have to be about projects. If you have something in you that might be considered a bug. For example, I was diagnosed early on with ADHD, as a lot of us were in the 90s, but I feel like it's something that has always affected me. I'm having trouble, even in my adult life, though I've mastered it and calmed down more, focusing on one specific thing at a time. So I've kind of made that my thing. When I'm around the house, I'll do multiple chores while I'm walking around the house, while I'm listening to a movie, music, a show, a podcast. I'm doing all of these multiple things at once because that's kind of a bug in my brain that I have made work for me. In my creative life, I will do a rock song, then I'll do an EDM track, then I'll do a podcast episode, and then I'll do a singer-songwriter acoustic thing. All of these kind of rotating issues in my brain, I've learned to make work with me. There's a famous comedian with a really bad stutter, and he's made it part of his act, and it's really charming. And he's one of my favorite jokes of his. I think he was on America's Got Talent. Really quick, what's his name?
Drew Lynch.
Thank you. Yes. So he had this bit about him never being able to be the voice on a GPS system because he stutters really bad, and he's talking about, I think the punchline here is like turn rerouting, and it's hilarious, and it's a bug that he was born with. You don't choose, obviously, to have Tourette's or a stutter or whatever's going on, but you can say, I'm not normal, I'm broken, I'm stupid, I'm worse, I'm gonna go and hide. Or this is who I am. I'm going to roll with it. And actually, it's going to work out for me. Again, it's not always going to work out. There's a lot of variables that happen in those situations. But it's a prime example of somebody giving something that they didn't plan on having to deal with and making it work out for them. He's a prime example. Check him out on YouTube. Drew, Drew Lynch, Lynch. You can definitely see there. If you do Drew Lynch, America's Got Talent, that specific joke is on there, and it crushes, and he cries. It's so sweet. So, wrapping this up. Just because it's a bug or something that you didn't expect to happen in your programming, in your life, in your pursuits, it doesn't always mean it's going to ruin everything. It doesn't mean that you're bad or stupid. It's just something that's going to happen that you have to roll with. And you can either work on getting it out of, if it's a bug that's not helping, getting rid of it. Even then, that's going to be a teachable situation where you can learn something about your own programming or your own creativity. Or it can be a cool jumping off point, as if, somebody walked in and was like, hey, what if this happened instead? And you go, oh, neat. Let's roll with that. So roll with the punches. Don't feel lesser than simply because you've got some self-perceived issue or bug going on.
You're all great.
We're all different. We've all got different stuff working for us, and you can make it work for you with a little determination. Thank you for coming out. We're so excited to be kicking off season 2. Keep your ears open. The radio station, we've got some music dropping. We've still got a big secret project that we're putting a lot of effort into that's going to be dropping here shortly. Next episode's going to be coming here in a couple of days. Thank you. Hope you guys are doing great. Welcome, and thank you for listening to season 2, episode 1 of Two Guys, Same Person. Bye.